All right, hey, guess what? It's Saturday. It's a live show. We got a little mix up with the time. We thought it was 8 o'clock, but it's not 8 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock, which will be 10 o'clock Guyana time. We just have a half hour special that we just decided to bring to your attention what's happening in Guyana, especially with all of the fires, all of the fires. So do spread the word that we are on. It is Saturday, the 20th of November, and we will just do a half hour special for you guys because lots of horrible things are happening in Guyana. Lots of horrible things. So do spread the word that we are on, and this is indeed it is a live program on this Saturday, the 20th of November. We'll be right back with this half hour special.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold lamp on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockacrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockacrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetch the load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Banga Mary. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell it tell some picnic a there with fright. Oh Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma Burra Nancy even Watamuma. Oh Ligan, Moongeza, Massa Kurma Burra Nancy even Watamuma. Yeah man, that's the true story that tell the people about life in the country, life in the country.
Perfect song. Not a bad shirt. Red. Fire. That's all that has been happening since the return of the PPP regime. And when I say since the return of the PPP regime, we all know under questionable circumstances. Good evening to all of you. This is not a rebroadcast. It is Saturday evening. And good evening to all, every single one of you. Share the link and let people know that we are on. In fact, I promised, I actually thought it was an 8 o'clock show, but when I looked at the time, for some reason, I just got it all mixed up. Blame it on age, mind you. All right, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to basically settle in, get something to drink, something. And for some of you who do drink, this calls for a very, very strong drink, especially in the direction that we see our country is heading. And when I say our country, I mean Guyana. Regardless of where we are, whether we are in the US, Canada, in the Caribbean, in Barbados, in Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Kitts, Nevis, wherever, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, wherever, even for those folks who are in Europe, good evening. You know, it's really, really sad reading all of these bad news. And we've got to say, bad news coming out of Guyana. Really, really bad news. A country that is so rich. We have bauxite, we have diamond, we have gold, we have sugar, we have rice. Well, we had sugar. We have rice. Well, the current regime doesn't pay attention to the rice farmers, but we still do have rice. On top of that, we have oil. And look at the sort of folks who are running the country. Look at the sort of folks who are governing the country. And we've got to be realistic. We've just got to be realistic. And you guys know this is one show that we do not beat around the bush at all. I give you guys some time to do whatever that is necessary. Screenshot the program and send it to some friends and let them know that Straight Up is on. It's a special Straight Up for this evening. I want to talk about the fires, especially this fire today. This particular fire today, I want to talk about that. So screenshot, don't share. Screenshot the show and send it, inbox it to one of your friends, and each of you should inbox it. Screenshot and inbox maybe to a female friend or somebody, and whisper to them that Ben Sharp is on. You know, find something to tell your friends them. Screenshot and send it to them that I'm on. Nadia Dumet, good evening to you. You know, where do we start? I want to first take a look at. Thank you so much, Mary Joseph or Marl Joseph. Sorry, I'm calling you Marl. Calling you Mary. My apologies. Yes, do share the link. I'm going to be on with you guys for about a half hour or maybe an hour. I don't know. Well, I'm just, you know, Lemon quit on us, right? I should let you guys know that Lemon quit. Lemon quit the job for the third time. Lemon has quit. So we have this here. This is the 7% that these guys promised. We know that they can't live up to the promise. We know that they have been fooling people. Left, right, and center. They have been fooling the citizens of Guyana. They have been lying to the citizens of Guyana. And ever since they have been installed, Guyana has never been the same again. And, you know, I'm an optimist, but honestly, I'm just not seeing the bright future for Guyanese under this installed regime. I'm just not seeing it. Yeah, so let's get down to business, as I want to talk about this fire and explain some things for you guys. So good evening again. The red shirt, fire, Breakdown Police Station, gutted. Ivleri, let's get to some of the photographs that we do have, compliments of the daily newspapers there in Guyana. Look at this. Just take a good look at this. Take a good look at this. I'm looking at some of your comments, and you guys are free to, you guys are free to comment and say things. I know, So this part, it is in Ivleri. This is where you call the police complaints. I'm sorry, it is the Office of Police Responsibility. Office of Police Responsibility. I'll get the proper OPR. Office of Professional Responsibility. Now, for some of you who may not know, this is an office where all of police investigations and corruption and allegations leveled against the police, killings and so forth by the police, all of the files are stored there while the matter is being investigated. All of the files, every single thing, are stored there while the case is being investigated, right? So let me break this down for you guys, how, suspicious this fire is. And, thankfully, no prisoners were there at the time. I don't know whether any was actually there, but I'm glad we're not going to hear about any lighter, any sponge, or any old bokta, or any old piece of wire. But then again, before I continue here, look at that air condition. Take a look at that air condition. And this police force, right? The so-called minister of national security, or what they call home affairs now, billions of taxpayers' money for security. But take a look. Again, I want you guys to take a look at that air condition unit. It's right there. It's staring you in the face, right there, right? So now this OPR building is a stone throw away from the accounts section. A stone throw away from the accounts section. So now this building was burnt down. I am sure the accounts section, I don't want to give my mouth liberty because it has not been confirmed, but the accounts section is not far away from this building. Then on the eastern side, which is not far away from this building also, is where the Commissioner of Police office is located. Right, so I'm just trying to give you guys a breakdown as to what really and these buildings here, right? The OPR, which is the Office of Professional Responsibility. This is where all of the files for matters concerning police corruption, allegations leveled against police. Now, not so long ago, you heard about a matter concerning this guy, Peter Headley. His file was actually there, sitting there at OPR for the longest while. But it was only recently that the magistrate ordered an inquest to be held. And so that was months the file was actually sitting at that building that burnt down, OPR. Then there is this file, and I want you guys to listen carefully on this here. This guy is the businessman Orrin Boston who was murdered by members of a SWAT team. Members of a SWAT team, right? So he was killed. I want you guys to understand that there hasn't been any progress in this matter at all. And the file for this case was sitting at the OPR, or maybe they transferred it to Brickdam, where a former judge sits there as the chairman of the Police Complaint Authority. And that chairman has recently said that his contract was not renewed. And now this is the guy. Police Complaints Authority chairman's contract expired. It hasn't been renewed. So we don't know what is happening at Brickdam. So this office is not located in the police compound. It is located, I believe, somewhere on Brickdam, right? So all of the complaints that we're hearing. So I don't know if this guy's file, Mr. Orrin Boston's file, is out of the hands of the OPR building. If it is not out of the OPR building, it simply means that the file for the Orrin Boston matter was burnt to pieces. Now, that is just my opinion because I don't know whether the file is still there or not. But lots of files are right there, right here in this building. People might ask, then what is OPR? Office of Professional Responsibility. It is in the compound of Ivlery. It is when police officers are accused of some sort of crime, bribery, murder, whatever form of corruption, right there. They send it there for it to be reviewed. And it depends on the police officers. Then the file will take a while before it is properly reviewed. And then it will be tampered with. And once it is tampered with, then they will fix it and send it back to the legal advisor of the Guyana Police Force. The legal advisor, it should be sent to the Police Complaints Authority, but it's a lot of confusion. But in this building is where they do a lot of cooking up. In this building with police files. Lots of cooking up with police files in this building. If you're now joining us, it is 17 minutes after 10 o'clock in beautiful Guyana, 17 minutes after 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, wherever you are in that neck of the wood. And some of you in Europe or wherever, time frame is different, right? So I want to move on to some other photographs here of what really happened today. Now we're looking at the building right across there where you see that sign. I believe I haven't been in that. You see they have, okay, so this, okay, good, I got you now. So this here now also is the DPP Chambers. The DPP Chambers is right there, right? So all of these files and cabinets and printers and everything that you're seeing there are files from the DPP Chambers. Look at how some of those files are on the ground. The water is there. I am almost certain that some files have been damaged. Again, I am almost certain that some files have been damaged. I see that there's someone under that shed who looks a little bit like the Director of Public Prosecution. I don't know if it's Miss Shalimar Hack, but it looks like her. Now, the DPP Chambers came under attack by the fire. Now, in the haste and rushing to remove files, I can tell you guys this, something that you should know already, that files have been damaged, files will be misplaced, and those files that are damaged and those files that we will be told cannot be located, we can almost read between the lines whose files and so forth will be missing. So basically, that is a bit of rundown as to these buildings. The DPP chambers, I don't know how much of that building was actually damaged, but this is no ordinary fire. And why do I say that it is no ordinary fire? Something that you guys already know, something that you guys have already put two and two together. A lot of you are mathematicians. You can put two and two together. You don't have to wait for the PPP to come out with their propaganda to tell you what two and two is. We already know what two and two is. They have a history. And the history that I'm talking about of the PPP, if you check their time in office since in the 60s, you will see that that history is a history of buildings, government buildings being burnt down for obvious reasons, right? So now again, that they're back in office, but even before now again, while they were in office for the 23 years, there were so many buildings that were burnt to the ground. You remember the where the Ministry of Housing used to be, located on Homestretch Avenue, burnt. Scores of other buildings burnt. And now they're back in office again, albeit under questionable circumstances. More and more buildings are being burnt flat to the ground. But never before have we seen police stations being targeted with fire. The Brickdam police station burnt to the ground. And then out of some sort of comic book, they plucked a little prisoner out of the Brickdam lockups with some Jim Cockbring Ramgoat Nancy story, or many of you would know Barra Nancy story, to say that he pushed a piece of wire through a crease on a piece of sponge, and then he lit it, and then that's it. The entire station burned down. Brickdam police station. Coincidentally, though, it started where the room is, the records room, where you keep records and all these different things, right? Questionable circumstances indeed. Now, Ivlery and OPR and DPP building and the the account section of the Guyana Police Force is right around the corner of, as I have said earlier, this building. It is right around the corner. When you come down that stair and you make that left, and just about 10 feet, you make another left, straight down there is the account section of the Guyana Police Force. And now, what happens at the account section? It is when you are placed on bail and all these sort of things, all your money is stored at the account section, and all the police business account section, the account section, that's where everything happens, right? So if that building is completely gutted, then another question mark right there. Another question mark. But I basically, that building now, to the eastern side of that building, which would be heading towards the roadside, so to speak, is the Commissioner of Police office, right? The Commissioner of Police office. Again, sorry, I'm looking at this building. I should know all of the buildings, yes. But this also looks, it can be the DPP chambers, right? Because all of these old wooden buildings look alike. So I know the entrance up to the DPP chambers almost is identical to going up to the chambers of, the Office of Professional Responsibility. So I can be a little bit mixed up with this here as well. So do forgive me. But nevertheless, we're trying to get it right here. Let's look at this building here now. Okay, so this, okay, we got it now. The living quarters heading towards the the DPP's building. Yep, and as we can see here, the DPP building did get a considerable amount of fire there, which means that we can hear that files were destroyed. Files were destroyed. Files were destroyed. Again, files were destroyed. Whose files? I don't know. But we can guess. I can tell you guys almost immediately whose files were destroyed. Look at this. Take a look at this, guys. What are they going to say? What will the fire chief say? Has he already ruled arson? Did he say arson? Are we going to wait for him to say arson? What do you want to bet that he may be reluctant to come out and say arson? But then again, he wasn't reluctant in saying arson when Brigdam Police Station was burnt. He wasn't reluctant in saying that at all. You know, he wasn't reluctant. You know, we got some folks sending in some more photographs. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, NR. I appreciate that. So that's just giving you a quick rundown as to what is happening and the suspicious fire. But this is what now. This becomes like a regular occurrence. That guy standing next to the guy in the pumpkin shirt, orange shirt, and the woman in the yellow, that guy is Mark Phillips. The guy with his hand to his waist posing, God in heaven knows for what. That guy is Robeson Ben. They have absolutely no clue, no understanding as to what is happening, but yet they are going to want to jump on a mountaintop to blame other individuals. So I'm forewarning you guys, don't fall for the propaganda of the PPP. Do not fall for their propaganda, because that is what they are going to want to do, spread propaganda, right? This, in my opinion, is a suspicious fire pointing in the direction of some questionable individuals, questionable character, who were bent on ensuring that certain files disappeared, certain files are burnt to the ground. That is exactly what is happening here. Don't let them tell you guys, don't let the fire chief tell you guys by tomorrow morning that the fire started in the living quarters of the police and that some policeman was actually cooking porridge when the fire started, right? Or some policeman was smoking and fell asleep and the cigarette burned the place down. That's all they're going to want to just cover this thing up, right? They're not going to want to, and none of them would want to come out and say that this was set directly to burn files down and all these sort of different things. They're not going to come out to say that. And now this brings me to the next question. You know, all of us might be asking the same question. This very question. Where next? Where next? Which ministry next? Which agency is next? Is it going to be Ministry of Finance? Is it going to be some other police station? Where next? Is it going to be some other police station in Berbice, in Essequibo? in Linden. We're next. Ask the PPP that. Ask Robeson Ben that. We're next. I don't know. In 1996, Ministry of Works burnt to the ground. In 1998, Ministry of Finance burnt. In 1999, Ministry of Education. In 2001, Ministry of Agriculture. In 2001, Ministry of Housing and Water. You know what I mean? In 2006, Ministry of Local Government had 2 fires. 2 fires. In 2006, Guyana Elections Commission. In 2009, Ministry of Health. All of these things, every single one of them, under the PPP regime. Don't let them fool you. Right, Colin? Don't let them fool you guys. Don't let them fool you guys. Just don't let them fool you guys about this fire. What are we gonna, I want you guys to read, and whilst you guys are on, you know, there's something that I say, screenshot, you know, screenshot the post and send it to people to join us. Screenshot it and let them join us, because there might be some people on this live who love to susu and screenshot stuff. So screenshot it and send them to people. I'm looking at some of your comments. But it's not a good day for Guyana. It's not healthy for the country, because we can cross our fingers. We can almost with all certainty expect more buildings to be burnt. The more buildings are burnt under corrupt regimes, the more money is pumped into that. Hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild it. And on top of that, files are missing. Court files are missing. Evidence is missing. And all these things, because at the DPP chambers, they also have evidence there. They also have files there. And could it be that the Boston file, remember the Police Complaints Authority is supposed to send that file over to the DPP chambers. Are we now going to hear that that file is missing, and therefore statements are gone, witnesses cannot be located any longer, and therefore that's the end of the matter? There were scores of things that we see. Let me give you guys one example. There's a permanent secretary of the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs. She was recently arrested, and I believe she was arrested, accused of some sort of kickback. The file was sent on 3 or 4 occasions to the DPP. The DPP kept sending those files back to the police. Now, who are they fooling? They may not have evidence against the young woman, or even if they have evidence, somebody doesn't want to present the evidence, or they probably have nothing at all. So back and forth, and that's the form of law that we have in the country, which amounts to basically lawlessness. Again, you know, this is a live program. I'm looking at some of your comments. Errol Paris is saying the Public Work Ministry was actually burnt down, that the Public Work Ministry was actually burnt. Yep. And I believe that was when Collymore and all those folks, or was it Javert, when he was Minister of Public Works under the PPP regime. So wait to hear what the fire chief has to say. And it wasn't so long ago the acting fire chief, after the Mr. whatever Udu was Edo or whatever was sent packing by Irfan Ali. The acting fire chief said that rest assured they are prepared and they will confront every and any fire in this country. Look where is that acting fire chief? Or was he just talking after maybe a bottle of Banco wine or some high wine or something? I don't know. But whatever you're doing right now, wherever you are right now, things are not nice in Guyana. Things are not nice. What are we going to hear? Some other buildings burnt down, and therefore there can be no audit of ExxonMobil, $9 billion that we taxpayers have to repay to ExxonMobil, their executives, that every time they fly in and out of Guyana, you have to pay for it. Every time they go to Marriott or the Pegasus or wherever and they eat fancy foods, you have to pay for it. But you can't even, some of the people can't even have a loaf of bread on their table. But taxpayers have to pay for lavish lifestyles of those executives of ExxonMobil. The bill is $9-point-something billion. You know what that is? $9-point-something billion. So when those executives of the oil company in Guyana, when they travel abroad and they take their entire family and friends out, a lavish lifestyle, you pay for it. You taxpayers. We pay for that. They go to fancy places and they shop a winter coat or whatever, or big shopping. They push the bill on you, the taxpayers of that country. That is what's happening. Lots of stress, lots of corruption. I don't know. Maybe when the time comes that you hear somebody, some big guy in Guyana is wanted and will have to be extradited to the U.S. Oops. Do you think that will ever happen? That the U.S. will release a list of individuals they want extradited to the U.S.? And therefore, cases and files are being burnt up? I don't know. There are lots of things that we can think about, but we've got to be smart when we're thinking. We don't want to sit down like some folks sit down in a corner and all sort of mumbo jumbo things that come through their head. They just, all sorts of conspiracy or conspiratorial theories and all these different things. You got to be mindful of those individuals. So we got to be very smart as we assess this situation here. And getting back to the fire. Look at this. Look at this. Let me see some of your comments and what you guys think now. Let me see what you guys think about this situation. The trench crappos are expected. They're expected to say what it is, right? Now, let me talk about the opposition for a quick minute. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong. The time that it has been hours since this building or these buildings were damaged. If I were part of the opposition, of which I am not, and a lot of them in the opposition don't like to take advice, before they sit and wait to hear and read the propaganda of this chap here with his hands on his waist, stand up like that. Kind of looks funny though, standing like that. And then you have Mark Phillips also. before you wait for these guys to start with their propaganda, the opposition, the shadow minister of Home Affairs, along with the opposition leader, Joseph Frederick Harmon, they should have already been out there, not on the crime scene, but they should have already been addressing the nation via a press conference. No press release. If I see any press release coming out from the office of the opposition, I will rip it up tomorrow evening or Monday evening right here on 107.1 FM. I will rip it up. A press conference talking about these suspicious fires and how dangerous this situation is for Guyana. It is dangerous. It is not healthy for democracy or anything of that sort. It is just not healthy at all. But when people talk, they get vexed and all sorts of things. All sorts of things. They get vexed, right? Well, let me say this here too, that during this Congress, PNCR's Congress, it is the busiest time that I have seen most of those MPs, the MPs who are seeking office. Some want to become the next chairman. Some want to become the next vice chair. Some want to be part of the central executive. All of these things. I have never seen these people so busy out in their constituency, out in villages, out in community, not talking about the problems in the country and confronting the PPPC installed regime. They are rushing out and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars going into these communities now. Some of them have been absent from those communities for a while. Some of them have never gone into those communities. Some of them never cared about those people that they're now rushing to. Talking nice and sweet, talking them, all because Congress is coming up shortly and they want to be elected into some office or the other. This is the only time I'm seeing a lot of them being so busy. You know, I've got to be very straight up. A lot of them now suddenly hugging people, giving people the impression that they love them and that they are with them and that they want to help them. But let me caution you guys about most of them. Most of them don't love you. Most of them don't want to do anything to see you move from where you are at that level and bring you up to this level. Most of them don't want that. Most of them don't even want to shake your hand. Most of them don't even want to hug you. Most of them don't even want to come close to you. Most of them will fool you and pretend that they love you. But here is one question I will ask. They're doing that just so that you can vote when it comes. Once you can vote, because not everybody can vote for Congress. And once they get what they want from you, after Congress, we'll be back to square one, where you will ask, where are these people? The only time that they came and hug you and kiss you and tell you they care for you and all these things was to get your vote. And after that, they disappeared. Be mindful of those individuals. Be mindful of being used for political purpose, not for progress, not for you being empowered properly, but for a vote. They will talk, fancy language. They will pretend as though they're crying for you, all because they want your vote. Now, I'm not painting all of them with the same brush, but most of you are smart enough to know who those culprits are. That's all I wish to say, because oftentimes what they do, they take you, the people, for granted. They should have already had a press conference about this fire. They should have had that, but they don't. Let me read something. I just thought I'd get to that political part of things as to how people are attempting to brainwash the support base of their party, all because it's Congress. What happened to all the other times? A lot of them never took boat to reach in remote areas. A lot of them never reach up to Linden. When was the last time some of them went to Ituni? When was the last time some of them went to Kokwani or Alnis Village, Philippi Village, Kildonan, and those places? Now, I'm not saying some of them don't. But during the flooding, during the flooding and all these things, when was these folks were hardly in any community fighting for people. Look at thousands of persons still with their pink slips. Still with their pink slips. But no one cares about them. No one cares. But now Congress is popping up. They're all over the place. I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's Saturday evening. Maybe I should have taken something, a nice cold Guinness or something like that. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I'm not in the best of mood right now. Ronald Daniels, a lawyer, just a piece of what he said. And I read, I quote, "Do forgive me, but I dare say that the statement attributed to Minister Ben is as unfortunate as it is reckless." And this is coming from a lawyer. Now, Robeson Ben may have alluded to some sort of conspiracy about this fire here. So these guys, without any investigation, the same one here with the hand on the waist, right? Stand up. Look how he stand up, right? Yeah, good. Now, these guys are so reckless. And I agree with attorney Ronald Daniels. So reckless. Ronald Daniels continued, "And naturally, we can expect the usual sling of racial sentiments to follow. Minister Ben mans the agency of government that is responsible for investigations into the commission of crime. One would imagine that the sensible thing to do would be to allow the police and the fire service to conduct their investigations and report on their findings, and let the findings of the investigation speak to what might have occasioned the fire. Why are we so hasty to arouse political and racial disquiet?" And now that's coming from a young attorney. It goes on, and I agree. The last paragraph of the attorney says, perhaps we will be better served by letting good sense prevail and await the outcome of what I hope would be a comprehensive investigation, which results are not manipulated to fit any particular narrative." End of quote. Ronald J. Daniels, attorney at law, sacking it to Robeson Ben, who rushed out to pronounce on a fire whilst it is blazing, to say that it is political, to say that somebody out in Mars or Pluto or Neptune, Uranus, or wherever, or maybe somebody out of from Liripintir burial ground, or Alnis, I think Lutheran Church or Alnis Church burial ground, or Kilmarnock burial ground. I'm giving you guys some names up there on the quarantine. Kilmarnock burial ground, or Kildonan burial ground, or Christianburg burial ground, right? Robeson Ben and these guys have no goddamn shame. None whatsoever. The fire blazing, and he already concluded. Blazing, which means that he's giving the impression as though this fire, that he knows something about this fire. And so before the investigation concludes, he's telling you guys, he's focusing you guys in a particular area. In order, obviously, in order, how it looks is to divert attention from the real cause of the fire. That's exactly what he's doing. And young lawyer Ronald J. Daniels is correct. He is correct. Look at this. Look at it. Look, mark my word. And I know you guys are smart enough to know that this is not the end of these things. It's not the end, because the PPP is bent on corrupting that country even further. It's a sad state of affairs in Guyana. And you know what? It will take more than prayers, because there are some of you who might say, we got to pray for Guyana, man. Come, let me pray now. Father Lord, please help Guyana. And then tomorrow, all of the pastors and the reverends and so forth, some of whom might be listening to the program, they are going to go to church and they are going to pray for the nation. Come on, let's pray for the nation. Lots of bad things happening. But then they pray and they walk out of there, and then they wait until the next Sunday to pray again. And now I'm not knocking at the pastors, the authentic ones, not the fake bishops and the fake reverends and them. So I'm not painting all the pastors with the same brush. But the same Bible that they preach out of, they say, faith without work is death. It simply means that if you just pray and you say you have faith and you're not putting out any work, then it makes no sense that you have faith. So the pastors and the reverends, the real ones, they got to do more than just praying. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and others didn't just pray. They joined the movement for a better United States of America, and by extension, a better world. And they did that with their lives. Pastors and reverends and real bishops, wake up before it's too late. Because they're burning buildings. Buildings are being burnt down. What's next? A church? What next? Finance ministry? What next? Police station under quarantine? What next? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what else to say to you guys. But I'm saddened by these developments. I am saddened. And this is where I'm calling on the opposition to stop focusing all of your energy on being elected into some position in the PNCR. Every day they're busy. This is the first time that I'm seeing boots on the ground, and I've noticed Miss Ann John actually mentioned boots on the ground. That's next. That's all we've been hearing. Boots on the ground, boots on the ground. This thing is becoming like a Nancy story or a joke. Boots on the ground, boots on the ground. That's all. That's all you're hearing. Boots on the ground, but like nobody really want to put on boots. Everybody waiting until after Congress before they put on boots. And then after Congress, going to be another major disappointment, because those who promise you to put on boots and boots on the ground, when you can't get boots on the ground and all these things, then you're going to start bawling. I don't know, man. I just don't know what else to say. Too much corruption, and the poor people are being taken advantage of by the politicians. Politicians on all sides are taking advantage of the poor people. They promise you, the ordinary folks watching, that they are going to do X, Y, and Z and everything for you. But when they get into office, you can't even find them. They don't even have time for you. They forget about your plight and your concerns. They forget that they promised that they're going to empower you. They forget that they promised that they're going to take you out of the trench. They forget that they promised that they're going to take you out of that little house that you live in. They forget that they promise you that they will give you a job. They will create employment. All these things they forget that they promise you. But when the time comes for them to be elected, when the time comes for them to be elected, they will hug you. They will kiss you. They will chat your finger, chat your face, chat wherever else they got chat. Let me see how many of you guys know what the meaning of that word chatty. What chatty means. Tell me what chatty means. They chatty you all over just to get your vote. Just to get your vote. And as soon as they get your vote, they scorn you. So they move from chatty to scorn. Two S's. From chatty to scorn. Right, Nas? Michelle Lampkin? You guys know what chatty means, right? Y'all know what chatty means? I'm not going to get off until someone tells me what chatty means. Miss Pitt, I could tell you from quarantine. Lick your finger, you chatty. You chatty. Means whilst you're eating, you're licking your finger, you're licking, you're chatty. You eat and you chatty, you lick your finger. When you're done eat, the food's so sweet, you lick all your fingers them because the food's so sweet. So when they come around you, these politicians come around you, they chatty you. All over they lick you. Pretend that they like you, pretend that they love you, that they're going to do better than the other set of people then. No, Gerald will so dice. It's not obia. Chat is lick. Is lick. So be careful of those who coming to chat you. Be careful. Chat. You learn a new word tonight. All of you. You learn something new tonight, right? Chat. Don't let them chat you. Pray for Guyana, but also stand up for Guyana. Now is not a time, before I go, the candidates, those who are running for leaders or to become the next leader of the People's National Congress reform. Now is not a time for whisper campaign and who with PPP and this body with PPP and that body. People want to hear issues, meaningful things, have a proper debate amongst these people. Now with various candidates, their supporters inboxing people and said, this one had a meeting with the PPP, this one there with the PPP, that one there with the PPP, that one. It's an old mantra, it's an old tune, old talk. Raise that gossiping and that whispering campaign to a higher level. Raise it to a higher level. Every elections, that's the old same tune you're going to hear. I don't know. Let us go, man. It's 10 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock in Guyana. Time might be different where you are. But thank you all so much, man. I'll be back. If I have to be back tomorrow, I will be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow. Before I go, there's an organization that I want to give a plug. If you guys can see, it's something that's happening in Linden about persons who have been sent back to Guyana. They're doing things to develop their communities, and I will be talking about this sometime next week. Hopefully we will have the folks from this organization on, but people are doing a lot of things to help empower their communities. They're no longer sitting and waiting for politicians to do it, because most politicians fail the people. Most politicians. And as the Bible says, put not your trust or something into man. And too many times we look at our politicians them as though they are gods. We fight for them. We do all sorts of things to them. Whenever they come and chat to us and promise to do X, Y, and Z, we fight for them. We cuss up each other for them. We abuse out. We stop talking to each other. Some come up with some sort of conspiracy theory and all these different things just for the politicians them. And then when the politicians get what they want, you know what they do to us? They jam us. They jam us raw. You can't find them. A lot of them who were in the coalition, they were ministers and all sorts of things and advisors and all these things, being paid handsomely. You couldn't find them. We couldn't get them to do anything. But it's elections time again, so they come around. Be careful. Be careful. Have a great rest of the evening. God bless you all. And don't forget, tomorrow, pick up a copy of the Village Voice newspaper. Pick up a copy of the Village Voice newspaper. And keep this young man who's sitting in a Russian cell, jail, keep him in your prayers, because the installed regime doesn't give a damn about him, and the opposition doesn't give a damn about him as well, because those who are responsible for issuing some sort of statement or a press release or a press conference, they're too busy campaigning for some position, because they tell themselves that they were born to be leaders of the PNCR or run for some position. So their positions are more important than this young man. I don't know. I've got to go, man. I've got to go. God bless you all. God bless our beautiful country. Do more than just praying. Too many fires, suspicious fires. PPP, it's not looking good. And you, PPP regime, you guys are not looking good. The people are not stupid. Don't try to bend the truth. Read between the lines. I hope he's watching. Do not try to bend the truth. I'm out of here. God bless you.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockcrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockcrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockcrow, dagaba. a bag, donkey bray, horse and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. Inaga, jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle Cheyenne, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down, but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Banga Mary. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa, all a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just the right time to listen story or to say a little nursery rhyme. Grandpa voice a echo in the night as he tell some picnic a there with fright. Oh Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma Bura Nancy, even Watamuma. Oh Ligan, Mungeza, Massa Kurma Bura Nancy, even Watamuma. Yeah man, that's the true story that tell the people about life in the country, life in the country.